and all Reddit users are descended from that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
This is we have concerns. Hi, Jeff Kanata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Hey, speaking of descendants, have you ever done a 23andMe or anything like that?
I have done a 23andMe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not so much.
Did you find out anything cool, interesting?
Not really. I didn't do it so much to find out about hereditary stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm not so interested in that. But I did it more to like look at specific health and like weird things and anything that would like pop up. You remember they used to be like, we can, and also just I did it at the time because I did it like towards the beginning. I did it sort of to contribute to that, right? Because they were building this database. And at the time this was early internet. We were just really excited about, distributed data. We weren't like, oh wait, should I make sure that they don't have like rights to sell all of my data to somebody? We weren't thinking, but no. I did it because I was like, if I fill out this extremely long questionnaire and send in my DNA, they'll be able to do pattern matching and we'll be able to find more things and this will be exciting. But yeah, long story short, yes, I have.
Yeah, I have as well. And, just to kind of find out my lineage. And it's funny because my dad did it. And then I did it after him, and I'm like, well, that's pretty similar. It's like, well, that makes sense, you idiot.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating to see, what percentage of this region of the world my family descended from and what percentage this region of the world, all that stuff. I did not do the one where you can find out all of your, potentially fatal flaws, right. All of the potential genetic mutations or diseases that you're prone to, all that stuff.
See, I did that one first.
You did?
That's why I got into it, dude.
Yeah.
That's what I got into it for. I was like, let's fucking go. There's never been a way to do this cheaply, easily, without a doctor like referring you to have it. But I was like, this is great. You can know all this stuff in advance. And I remember they send you all those results and there's like a little click through that you have to be like, are you sure you want to see this?
Right. Yeah.
And I remember clicking it every time and just being like, here we go. Here we go.
That stuff can get in your brain and mess with you. Cause it's like, you have a 7% chance to, sprout a third arm. It's like, but okay. So 93% chance I don't, but
only 7. Yeah. Only 7. I was hoping it would be at least 50. I would hope there was at least I would hope there's at least a 50% chance that I'd wake up one day and I would just be the dark backward. As a deep cut for film students.
Anyway, that process, I'm sure, involved you swabbing the inside of your mouth or, getting some saliva or in some cases, maybe even blood. But I think most of those are just saliva swabs at this point. And that's usually how we collect. There was a guy in a van
who took a lot of my skin.
That's probably not the one you wanted to.
I don't know. The results are probably, he said the more skin he takes, the more accurate it is.
He just wanted so much skin.
Yeah, he just kept asking for more and more skin. He was like, the results are almost here. I'm just going to need a little more skin. And this went on for like weeks.
He stopped by every single day just asking for more skin.
He was like, hey, man, skin time. He'd just send me a text. He'd be like, skin time, bro. I'd be like,
well, worst DoorDash ever.
Yeah. Got to go downstairs. Because I'd be like, hey, you can't come up unless you buzz. You can't just text me and say that you're here. You can't come up unless you buzz at the front door. He's like, can't find you in the directory, bro. Come on down. It's skin time.
Skin time.
And I'd be like, dude, come on. I'm like right there. My name is like so close to the beginning of the list. He's like, no, come on down. I'll just harvest your skin down here.
In front of everybody?
It was rough. But at the end of it, I did find out that I'm likely to have brown hair and brown eyes. And I do.
There you go.
So it was a pretty accurate test.
Hey, he knows what he's talking about, the skin guy.
Oh, how can he not? He has so much skin.
He's like, this is what you're likely to look like. And you're like, I'm just supposed to look at you wearing my skin? He's like, yes, look, this is what you look like. Look at me,
I'm you. Woo! This is what you look like. This is your DNA.
Anyway, so that's usually how it's done, in some cases. We got a story that was posted on the Discord from our friend Dire Nair. who is talking about this study that was published recently from, I would say, a relatively unlikely source. These are the folks that work at the University of Florida in the Marine Bioscience and Sea Turtle Hospital. Yeah. It is a fellow named David Duffy and his team. And they were conducting some research into sea turtles.
Sure.
And evidently
That
there
tracks.
is a, there's a viral tumor, a viral tumor that infects sea turtles and is a problem.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. It literally is the first time I've ever heard of this, but it
Can I
sounds
tell you,
pretty
I
awful.
just want sea turtles to live happy lives.
Yeah.
There's something about sea turtles. If you ask me, I mean, I want every animal to live a happy life. But if
Right.
you were like, this is a problem for sea turtles, I immediately go, nothing should happen to the sea turtles. They're one of those species, you know?
They seem so chill. They just
Yeah.
don't want to hurt anybody. They're just slow and hanging out, and they live for so long, and you just want them to be okay.
They just want to like lay their eggs without people shining blinding lights in their eyes, and they want to swim around, and they just want to be chill.
Yeah.
And I just want them to be happy. Why are they getting these tumors?
Well, that's not really the point of our story. It's a sad tale, but they were actually going to try to pluck some DNA from the turtles' environments, from the sand and the areas that the turtles walk around in, to try to find some genetic explanation for the viral tumors.
That's a smart way to go.
And there's a new process, a relatively new process of collecting DNA. And they call it eDNA. The E stands for environmental. So this is DNA that is just in the environment. So they don't have to walk up to a turtle and take the what is it? The flossy thing, the ear.
Right.
What is
No,
that thing called?
the scientists were just shining UV lights
Right.
on places
They
where
went
sea
to a-
turtles are.
They went to a turtle's hotel room and
Yeah.
just turned on the UV light.
And they were like,
pretty.
oh no, DNA everywhere. This is not okay.
Yeah, no, they're not going to swab the inside of the turtle's mouth. They can collect it from the environment, and they have this way to
I would
collect it from
imagine
the environment. But
I would imagine that they do that so they don't stress out the animals as much.
Right.
The idea is that they could probably, because there's so much in the environment they can get from a lot of different samples. I think this sounds cool. I guess I guess the one thing that I'm going to put a pin in and we can talk about if maybe it comes up down the road is how they can tell when DNA is from two different turtles when it's like on such a distributed scale. But yeah, go on.
well, this is sort of the strange road into this discovery was they're looking for sea turtle DNA, but in order to collect it, they're like going to the tracks, the turtle tracks, and getting that sand and isolating the DNA in it. And one of the things they need to do is filter out DNA from not turtles.
Right.
So from humans, basically, it's like
By the
they're in
way,
this habitat.
Turtle Tracks, one of top 3 ice creams.
Turtle Tracks, delicious,
Delicious.
made with real turtle.
Have you not had Turtle Tracks?
I have had Turtle Tracks. I was making a
Oh,
little
okay.
silly joke there.
No, I know you were making a silly joke, but I was like, this seems like a joke from somebody who's not had Turtle Tracks.
But Turtle Tracks are they have caramel and nuts,
Because
right?
they have like chocolate turtles in them that have been
Yeah.
like, apparently these chocolate turtles were like a real popular candy at one point and they like chop them up. It doesn't matter. I'm just always thinking about ice cream. Go on. They're
Anyway,
trying to
so in order
separate
to-
turtle from non-turtle.
Yeah, you gotta isolate the turtle DNA. And what they found was they found a lot of human DNA mixed up in there in the Turtle Track stuff that they were looking through.
Okay.
And they went, that's weird. That's an awful lot of human DNA. I wonder if we could actually use any of that in a way that we would use a sample that you get from an actual human when you swab their mouth. And it turns out, yes, you can. So Mr. Duffy and his team were very curious about that. And they went, I wonder how much human DNA is just floating around in the world
No.
all the time,
No.
all over the place.
No, I thought this was going to be a cute story about sea turtles.
No, this is the turtles are a means to an end. Now we're getting into some hardcore DNA shit.
Oh, dear.
They traveled the world. They picked up some more samples in Florida. They went to Ireland. They went to this remote island that has very few human visitors to it. And, it's almost untouched by humanity. And they went around collecting environmental samples to see how much human DNA is in the world. And it turns out the scientific term is a cubic shit ton of human DNA is all over the place, Anthony.
What?
They didn't find much of it in that remote island. So
sure.
The place where humans aren't, they didn't find much. But
they found more. It's a non-zero.
It's non-zero. They found DNA from themselves. They arrived and were collecting DNA, and in collecting it, they're like, oh, so much shit is coming off of our bodies.
I mean, that makes sense, though. I mean, if they had said that they had found like a bunch of DNA that they had figured out had like blown on the wind from thousands of miles away, I'd be like, oh God, this is terrible. If you told me like, hey man, there's a lot of DNA from you where you're walking, that makes sense.
I guess, but it's not just DNA that's floating around. It's DNA that we actually have the technology now to sequence. They call it shotgun sequencing. we can actually reconstruct the DNA, just like they said that the samples they were getting, these small trace amounts that are just sloughed off your body in the normal course of being, can result in results that match what you would get if you gave a sample. They don't need to swab your mouth. They can literally just go someplace you've been.
No.
Sweep up the ground, get some sand, get some air. They do it out of the air itself. They can collect samples of the air and get enough DNA to figure out stuff like mutations here's what they found. They found tons of information about the people that live in those areas. They could track population and where the populations came from. They found mutations linked to autism, diabetes, eye diseases, and cardiac diseases. They found one person's eDNA that revealed a mutation linked to a disease that causes neurological impairment and sometimes death. So they literally were like, somebody that's been here is probably going to die.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Look. That's okay. That's fucking weird.
They can determine the genetic ancestry of the locals.
Okay.
They literally just grab some air.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always thought, and I think we all kind of thought this is like, we're constantly skin cells, eyelashes,
right,
dandruff, whatever is coming off of us, and it has a certain amount of DNA in it. But as organic matter breaks down, obviously the DNA strand breaks down. And I've always been of the thought that like it breaks down pretty quickly. It breaks down to the point where like you would need a sample from me to match it to a sample from after the breakdown. Like it couldn't just be like, you couldn't just grab it out of the air and tell that it was me. Can they fucking do that?
Yes. They had 4 known participants walk in the sand. So they got these people, they knew who they are. They walked in the sand. Then they got some eDNA from the sand. They were able to tell the sex chromosomes of the participants.
Sure.
And match their, I mean, it's not going to be like,
that's clown shoes, man. That's clown shoes. That's like first thing.
Well, but they were able to determine their genetic ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
They could separate.
We know the murderer thinks that celery tastes like soap. What? What are you talking about? Yes, there's a 10% of the population thinks that celery tastes like soap, and we know that gene is present in the murder. Okay, do you know like what the murderer looks like? No, but all we have to do is set out crudité and wait for the murderer to come to us.
Well, this is the worry that some folks are having with this is how ubiquitous and trivial it is to collect this data now. doesn't require you to sit down and say, okay, swab my mouth or whatever, or take a blood sample. It literally says, hey, if you've been somewhere, okay, vacuum the air a little bit and we can distill out the human DNA from the animals or anything else. And we can determine a lot of information about the people who've been through here.
A lot of information, but wouldn't they need to match the DNA to me? Wouldn't they need a full sample of my DNA, which I willingly gave to 23andMe?
Yeah. How would they possibly get a hold of that?
How would they listen? I'm pretty sure that 23andMe is gonna have my back when the subpoenas come in. You know, when the warrant comes through, 23andMe is going to stand their ground and say, absolutely not. I can trust and depend on 23andMe, the company that thought, let's just collect a bunch of DNA from people and make money off of it. This seems like a company that thinks about things ethically and morally and will stand their ground when
they'll stand together. The 24 of you total will stand there. We'll stand there as one
with our arms linked,
arm in arm.
Not letting the police in to get the sample of my DNA. Oh, that's worrying.
Well, I mean,
especially with all the crimes I've been committing lately.
Well, maybe you should rethink that. Maybe you should
commit better crimes.
Commit better crimes.
I've been trying. I'm getting better every day.
You got to stop attacking all those sea turtles.
No,
that's the problem.
That's a non-starter. I will keep attacking the sea turtles.
This is, there's a lot of worry because, for example, in China, the government has been genetically tracking Tibetans and other ethnic minorities throughout the country to know, that's the kind of Orwellian crazy shit that seemed out of reach a mere decade ago. And now it just feels like inevitable.
Look, I can't think of, listen, obviously the good use here that they're thinking of is we just wanted to see what's going on with these sea turtles. And this is one of those situations where academia is like, oh no, we accidentally just gave another weapon to the hellscape. We better publish this and say, please, hellscape, don't do anything with this. We know it's out there. Please, for the love of God, hellscape, don't do it. But aside from like testing the DNA of these turtles to see what's going on with tumors in the turtles, I can't think of a single good fucking use for this that would be reasonable in anybody's hands.
Well, for example, they used this exact method to test, human waste to determine where COVID-19 was proliferating during the pandemic. So they would go to, the waste disposal places and test it, and you could extract strands of DNA to determine, where COVID-19 was and, what strains of COVID-19, how it was evolving. It was very useful. There's a lot of use cases that are actually, life-saving and potentially positive.
Yeah, this is just going to get, but I just, the double edge of this, like, when we say, oh no, that's a double-edged sword, we tend to think of like a sword that's symmetrical with two edges, you know what I mean? that are like even, but sometimes it's like a double-edged scimitar, where like one edge is just so huge and just so hugely out edges the other edge where you're like, oh no, like, yeah, I'm sure we got good information, but people were also getting tested every day, and like we could have gotten the information that way. I'm sure. Like I don't know. I'm not a COVID scientist. I don't know what's going on with that, but it do seem to me like I don't like this being in the world. I think it should be destroyed.
That's how technology works. Just stamp it out and no one will ever use it again.
Surely we can here's what I'm saying. And if we could just do this, I would be happy. Just unring the bell. Oh,
yeah. That's that common idiom about how it's super easy to unring the bell.
If the bell's ringing, just unring it is what they say.
Unring that shit. Yeah.
That's why they're always saying unring the bell.
What's the thing about genies and bottles and how it's super easy to convince them to go back? Yeah.
Just tell the genie, get back in there.
Just go. That's my wish.
They say once you open Pandora's box, be sure to close and latch it afterwards.
Exactly. Don't let the box hit you in the ass on the way out.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what they say in all the Hellraiser movies. Just close the box.
Just be sure hit the latch.
Hit the latch. Turn off the lights on your way out of the Hellraiser box.
They're definitely worried about this in regard to something I think we may have talked about at one point or another on the show in the past. But the thing that people are referring to as the CSI effect. You know?
Oh, yes. Everybody thinks that DNA evidence and crime scene investigations are so much more technologically advanced and accurate than they actually are. And that's why I said in the beginning of this, I'm like, I feel like DNA breaks down pretty quickly, because as much as you see things on CSI and all of these crime shows that are like, I don't know, just enhance the DNA. You know what I mean? Like they just sit. There's some 35-year-old
match. The two images perfectly align. It's a 1-to-1 match.
There's a quirky 35-year-old woman in some sort of pigtails who sits at a computer and like razzes you and then runs a simulation. And then it's like, it turns out there's only one person who could have had that DNA, and it's clown DNA. Honky honky. You can tell because it has the honky honky gene.
Yeah,
and they go and they're just like, and they just know it. But the reality of the situation is DNA evidence is very often contaminated, very often incorrect. Things where they use bodily fluids, blood testing, all these sorts of things can get contaminated, and you can wind up arresting the wrong person and sending the wrong. There are cases of the wrong person getting incarcerated or being found guilty based on DNA evidence. So that's my thing that I'm worried about, is they're like, well, we're finding this stuff and it's super accurate and we can find out all these things. And I'm like, can you? Yeah,
it's a real problem. And more than that, I think something you touched on right at the beginning of the episode is with eDNA, at least with swabbing your mouth, you sort of have to consent or at least be aware that they're taking it from you.
Right.
And with eDNA,
or
the
like
idea would be
you'll see like George Clooney palm a glass that you're drinking out of at dinner and put it into a plastic bag and like put it in his coat pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, wait, are you taking that to a lab to steal my fingerprints?
And he'll be like, no, I just really appreciate that brand of crystal.
No, it's like when you're in college and you go into a Denny's and you steal the carafe. I just still do that.
Add it to I have a displace case at home. I really enjoy these cups.
I have a bunch of those nice forks from Star Wars Land when it first opened. You know, before they got rid of the forks. Why do you think they got rid of the forks? I've got 10 of them at home.
So much DNA on those forks.
Human and alien. It's impossible.
You never know.
You never know. So it feels like thinking that this technology is super great could actually be a trap.
Exactly. And because there's this public perception that DNA is so definitive, and because it would be so trivial for law enforcement to just be like, sweep the area, collect all the DNA. Oh, this DNA says that Anthony Carboni was here. It's like, yeah, I was, but you know, who knows when and what and how, and it's
right.
blown.
Okay, but we do have you recorded on your podcast saying that you're committing crimes against sea turtles.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's circumstantial.
That is direct evidence because it sounds like an admission of guilt.
Sure, it sounds like an admission of guilt, and that seems like my DNA.
Yeah.
And the turtle, and like whenever I go to that beach, the turtles seem to cower. They seem to.
And your apartment is just full of sea turtle skulls on the walls.
Yeah. But like, what do you really have on me?
Well, the worst part of all this, Anthony, is that what we do not know yet is how this DNA moves through the world. Right? We understand the broad strokes of, you know, skin cells slough off your skin, spittle comes out. We understand how DNA comes from the human body and goes out into the environment. We don't know the level to which it moves around the environment, how much we can trust, like these people were actually here.
How long it sticks around and things like that. So let's, okay, if we're using the crime scene as an example, right? I imagine that an issue here is like, let's say that a crime happens on the corner of a pretty well-trafficked street.
Yes.
Right? Or even a block away from a pretty well-trafficked street.
Right.
Right. So now you have the DNA of all the people who walked up and down that street. But not just that, even if it's a block away, 2 blocks away, could it have been carried on the wind? Could it have been carried on another animal? Could it have been carried by any number of these things that just spread it? Could there have been some sort of like, I don't know, could somebody have been bitten by a bug or a mosquito and had their blood, you know, how far does this, because we know one thing that we are all expert virologists after the last few years. And we know that viruses can spread on a water droplet or a droplet of moisture for like 3,000 miles. I could cough. I could cough. And based on the wind currents and the butterfly wings and shit, Jeff, you could get sick tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. 400 people in a city you'll never visit or died because you sneezed. Good job.
Listen, they deserved it. If I'm honest, they deserved it.
Can I tell you my favorite new acronym that I've learned from this? We talk about all this stuff that's coming off of us all the time.
Yeah.
The skin cells, our spittle, our blood, whatever,
our
bits of hair.
Vibes, baby.
Our vibes, yeah. Just our general,
our vibes.
Just like, are we with it or not with it?
I can just like feel your energy, you know what I mean? It's like very Taurus right now, and that's not what I'm looking for.
There's an acronym called HGB.
I hear 99% of humans have that.
Yeah, well, we all have a little HGB.
Yeah, I hear we're all carrying it.
Coming off of us all the time.
Yeah.
It stands for, and I love this phrase, human genetic bycatch.
Blah.
Human genetic bycatch.
Blah. For some reason, not until now did this set off, because I'm not a germaphobe or anything, but not until I heard that term did the cleanliness factor of all this pop into my head. The sanitary factor is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
All popped into my head just now with the term human genetic bycatch. Blech.
Get a little of my bycatch on you.
And I even made a joke about the UV light earlier, and that didn't bother me. But somehow, when you said human genetic bycatch, and you have not even defined it yet, but Jeffrey...
I mean, it defines itself.
Ugh.
To be honest.
Hey, Jeff?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Don't get any of my bycatch on you, you know? But that's the thing that this story is bringing to light. We're swimming in bycatch, baby.
What does that mean?
It's in the air. It's on the ground. It's everywhere. Everybody's bycatch is bumping into everybody else's bycatch.
Yo, wait a second. Hold on. Let's say I walked that busy street, and then I committed a crime. How many different humans worth of bycatch do I have on me at any given time?
Yeah, it's an open question.
I mean, it's an open question. I feel like here's the problem. Here's something that I've learned in years of doing this show, Jeff.
Yeah.
They don't drill down far enough before they write the paper.
Well, that's true.
They never drill down far enough before they write the paper. Because I'll tell you what, man, if I'm carrying I live in a fairly large apartment building. Do I have 100 people's worth of bycatch on me right now?
Probably.
Is it just
I can't
all
imagine
over
you don't.
Everything?
You're like, take a deep breath. How much bycatch are you inhaling?
I don't want to take a deep breath now. Now that I know about the bycatch.
But I feel like you shouldn't be so mad at Mr. Duffy and his team, because they got.
I'm not. It's
turtle
not their
tumors
fault.
to worry about.
It's
they got
not
turtle
their
tumors
fault.
to worry about. They didn't even mean it. They just kind of stumbled on all your bycatch. They
it was
didn't mean
out
to.
there. It was out there. That's all.
Yeah.
Somebody was going to find it. The turtle people found it. That tells you how much there is out there. The turtle people found it. They were simply looking for turtle garbage. They were just like, we're just going to go to the turtle place and find turtle garbage. And they were like, oh no, there's far too much human garbage mixed in with the turtle garbage. We're not even human studiers. This sucks.
This sucks.
Can you imagine going down to the beach and you're like, we got to find all this turtle garbage. And then you come back and you're like, oh my God, we were specifically sifting for turtle garbage. And we got like 80% human garbage and 20% turtle garbage.
Yeah.
What is going on here? And I would imagine there's more human garbage than anything else because we're just all over the place. We just put ourselves everywhere, you know?
I mean, it's that thing where they're like, the results say that the DNA of someone that should have a long blonde hair and brown eyes, and they just turn and look at Sarah. You know, it's like, I think this is you, Sarah. I think we got you in here. I think we got some of your bycatch. And then Sarah's all embarrassed because it was all supposed to be turtle garbage.
It was all supposed to be turtle garbage. And Sarah considers herself a pretty clean person.
Exactly.
You know? She thinks of herself as a hygienic person. And also, people didn't know that Sarah wears colored contacts.
Until now.
And now the turtles blew up her spot. The turtles fucking blew up her spot, man. That's not cool.
Not cool.
That's not cool. Turtles. And then what happens when you get Ninja Turtles in the mix, Jeff? It's half human, half turtle.
Well, we may have come to
with a little bit of rat, depending on the origin story you subscribe to.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Some like local news reporter DNA in there, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of pizza DNA. I don't know.
Tough guy hockey stick DNA.
It's all mixed in. That's the problem.
We did your 23andMe. It turns out tough guy hockey stick.
Tough guy hockey stick.
Tough guy hockey stick. A fucking accent we can't place. Is it New York? We don't know. What borough? Could be anything.
Why are you still wearing the hockey mask? Why? You're not even playing right now.
It's right there in his DNA. Hockey mask.
What are you going to do?
So it's either Casey Jones or Jason Voorhees. Now, okay, so there's a lot of human DNA everywhere. There's a lot of high quality human DNA everywhere.
Yeah.
What do they want to do? What do they want to do now by publishing this paper? They're bringing awareness to it, but why do they feel like they need to bring awareness to it? And what are their next steps? Like, is this entirely about thinking about genetic rights and consent? Is that what they're talking about?
That's the thrust of their position, is that, hey, this has become trivial to collect this from the environment. It is out there. It's easy. This is a procedure that's not going away. If anything, it's only going to get more refined. And we want people to be aware that, hey, there's positives to this, in the sense that we will be able to sort of track data without having to even disturb human populations or animal populations. But the downside is people might use it for nefarious stuff.
Yeah. And I'm going to turn on my Philip K. Dick brain here. And here's what Dick Brain says. Dick Brain says, how trivial will it be? And what are the rights issues towards,
right?
Okay, you're suspected of a crime.
Right.
We go in and we question you in your apartment. As we're in and we're questioning you in your apartment, we've got just like a little device that picks stuff up from the air, grabs your DNA, and we can just match your DNA to the crime scene without you, because your DNA is in the air. We don't need to get your consent for that.
Yeah. Who has the rights to literally particles that are floating in the air? You know, that's the sort of prevalent question that is raised here is, you know, you're releasing this stuff off without consent.
Listen, I'm released. Yeah. It doesn't even have my consent.
Right.
Like, I'm not even consenting to releasing this stuff. I would like to not.
Exactly. I don't want any bycatch.
Listen, here's the thing. I just thinking about how much bycatch I'm creating makes me hate myself and want to like go down to the beach and just scrub myself endlessly with a pumice stone. I just want to sit by the beach forever and scrub my skin until it's red and I don't have any more bycatch. You know? That's what I'm thinking about.
That sounds like a Saturday afternoon.
I want to just remove all the hair from my body and then the first 3 layers of skin and just breathe into a bag and then throw the bag out. You know,
Well, the
I don't
problem
want.
is that dude will just be following you and he'd be like, this is exactly what I was hoping for the whole time. He's just removed his skin for me.
Yeah. And even if I throw the bag into the ocean, they'll be like, buddy, we were here at the ocean anyway. We're waiting for the turtles.
Exactly.
The turtles come up with the bag and they're like, this is the guy, officer. This is the guy who's been committing all the crimes.
Good work, Ninja Turtles. Listen to this. This is an interesting quote too from Duffy and his team. They said, they have literal turtle tanks at their hospital because it's a turtle hospital. So you imagine there's a bunch of tanks, and they have humans.
Oh, they're like turtle doctors.
They're turtle doctors.
It's like, no. But I mean, turtles who are doctors. It's a turtle hospital. Is this like a Richard Scarry situation? Have they set up a scale model turtle hospital?
You think you wait a long time in the waiting room at your hospital?
Hey-o. This is like those mouse cities, the mouse utopia. They built a turtle hospital and they were like, how long until the turtles decide to privatize healthcare? How long until the turtles decide that this healthcare needs to be profit-based?
What seems to be the problem today?
We're just waiting to hear back from your insurance to see if we can go forward with the procedure.
I knew we should have gone to the hair hospital. This tortoise hospital is terrible.
No, here's the problem with the hair hospital. They're just like, the hair hospital is like the equivalent of WebMD. You walk in there and you're like,
you have cancer.
Yeah.
You have cancer. You have cancer.
Get him on the operating table. What? No.
I don't want to.
Better to take action than no action. Here we go. Amputate that leg.
So you go to the tortoise hospital because they end up being right. It takes forever, but they end up being right.
So they have a little turtle hospital that they've set up where they look at all their turtles in tanks.
And so they have human beings attending to the tanks. And so they took samples from that environment and also from remote rivers. And they found that there was actually far more human eDNA in the environment at nearby rivers than at the tanks in their facility, even though our turtle patients require a lot of hands-on care. So there was more human DNA just floating around in the world than at a place that humans work.
I hate this.
There's lots of bycatch out there, baby.
There's too much bycatch.
Yeah.
Ugh. This whole thing just makes me want to dust my apartment immediately. Ugh. What? And this is what I love. They've reported on this. They've done their research. They've published their findings. But they're just turtle people, man.
Yeah.
Now we got to wait on the larger community to pick up on this and go forth with this research. But here's what's scary to me. Nobody was doing this research because it took the turtle people to find it.
It took the turtle people. Sometimes,
Sometimes it takes the turtle people.
Yeah. Yeah. They talked to Dr. Anna Lewis, who is a Harvard researcher of the ethical, legal, and social implications of genetics research. She said...
sounds like a Nepo baby, but go ahead.
There's plenty of reason, I think, to be concerned. Nepo baby. I didn't even hear you say that.
We don't know. We don't know.
It says there's internationally plenty of reason, I think, to be concerned. Aaron Murphy, who's a law professor at New York University School of Law, says DNA tracks to your extended relatives, tracks forward in time to your children, tracks backward in time to your ancestors. In the future, who knows what DNA will tell us about people or how it might be used.
And that's just Aaron Murphy. Ryan Murphy from FX was like, I'm making 3 series based on this. And they are going to be wild as hell.
And hilarious.
Yeah, this is spooky. I mean, this is one of those things. We're talking about a lot of future ethics right now. We're at a time we're at a time of transition in humanity when we're talking about a lot of this stuff, where we're talking about what's not just like the AI stuff, which is the big stuff right now, right? But we've talked about this over the last 10 years quite a bit, where it's like, well, how much can your ISP track on you, and should your ISP be able to report that to law enforcement? What are you allowed to do on the internet? What are you not allowed to do on the internet? And how much of what you do on the internet is allowed to be captured by people along the way? Is it like tapping a phone line, or is it just the proliferation of data? We talk a lot about just things like privacy in cities with things like CCTV cameras, right?
Right. And now, going forward with generative AI, where we have stuff like, all these rights about who owns my image, or, if you can reconstruct a video of me saying whatever you want me to say that reconstructs my voice, reconstructs my image, who owns the pictures of me? All of that stuff is in play, and I think is uncharted territory for these kinds of rights questions.
Yeah. And the thing that's huge about this to me is these are the kind of stories that really get people riled up and excited, because these are the ones that have these spooky sci-fi aspects to them, right? So we're all like, oh my God, my DNA is floating in the air and anybody can find it. Like, that feels extremely invasive. But there are things that have slowly become every day that we don't even think about. Normalized everyday things where, just how much people are like, well, I don't use this because it tracks me, or I don't use this app because it tracks me. And I'm like, baby, I know, they know where you are at all times already.
Yeah, you carry your phone around, don't you?
If you carry your phone around,
and
it's not on airplane mode 24 hours a day, they know everything.
Yeah,
we're already being tracked, so it becomes, what kind of tracking are we okay with, and what kind of tracking feels invasive, and who's allowed to access that tracking data? And I think this story is a very interesting sci-fi version of that, but it comes back to this very real day-to-day ethical stuff that we kind of just let happen in the name of convenience and technology that we now really have to think about. And once again, I just have to say it, just unring the bell.
That's really, I think, what we get back to over and over again.
Over and over again.
Why don't we just unring the bell?
Why has
and then
nobody
everybody
thought
can go
of
back?
This?
Yeah, if we can just go back to the blissful ignorance we had before we rang the bell.
Bell is ringing. I don't like noise. Unring bell.
Seems simple.
It seems like nobody's thought of that. Why am I the first person to say this?
Right.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, Jeff. Just unring the bell.
Just unring that bell.
I feel the same way about my DNA being out there as I do about like my financial information, like identity theft. It's like, I feel like if you try to steal my DNA or you try to steal my identity and get money from it, good luck. Now that debt's yours. No backsies. No backsies on that identity.
No backsies.
I clap my hands and spin around 3 times, and now my identity is yours, and you have to deal with it. I feel the same way. I feel the same way about DNA. It's like, oh, now you have all my problems.
Yeah.
I get to have your DNA now. You're probably taller and healthier and better looking than me.
Now I'm a sea turtle.
Now I'm a sea turtle, and I don't have a care in the world. Now I'm a sea turtle, and all I have to do is make sure that I don't go towards the wrong light.
I mean, let's be honest. I go towards the wrong light all the time.
I go towards any light.
Yeah.
I'm just, look, if I see a light, I go, that's the way I'm supposed to head. I'd make an excellent sea turtle, which is why I'm like down to trade DNA. If any sea turtles are hearing this and they want to swap.
If any sea turtles are listening, you can get a hold of us.
If any sea turtles are listening, just suck my DNA out of the air and find me. It's apparently super easy. Just bring a fucking Luigi style vacuum and just get all my DNA and find me.
That's how they all look, these researchers.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think they have like big Luigi's Mansions vacuums on their backs and they're just sucking up DNA. Like, damn, a lot of DNA today. Anyway, this is terrifying. And it's the future and we have to deal with it.
They literally use the term genetic surveillance.
Whew, love that.
That's a scary term.
Love that. That's a thing that's happening now. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. Come at me. Come at me, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you have any bycatch that you've been letting off into the world? Chances are the answer is yes.
Will you send us some of your bycatch? Not like in a weird way, but like in a way where if we run into problems and we just need to like throw somebody off our scent, say some like
Yes.
Say some like zoologists or some marine biologists or something
Yes.
like
Be
some,
our patsy.
you not a patsy. We don't want to set you up. I should say this. We're not trying to set you up. What we are trying to do is just reasonable doubt, right? That's all we're looking for.
Sure. Yes.
If you want to just help us out with some reasonable doubt, there are a few ways that you can do so. The number one way is join the Discord and get at us.
Yeah, get at us. The Discord is a fantastic place to hang out with like-minded, concerned citizens who are listening to the show, talking about all sorts of cool stuff. This is where we get the stories from. This is where we chat about all kinds of cool stuff. And it all can be yours for the low, low price of $1 per month.
That's
Like
right.
nothing. It's barely anything. That's you basically release that from your body every month anyway.
You're releasing at least $1 worth of bycatch right now. You might as well harness that bycatch into, we don't understand how it works. You figure it out. We can't come up with it. We're idea people.
That's right.
But what we can tell you is one of our great ideas was if you give us more money, we give you more stuff in return.
The first
we
people to
invented
think of
that.
Yeah.
We invented it. And the deal is if you give us a little bit more a month, you get bonus episodes, bonus audio, and monthly Q&A sessions with me and Jeff, as well as video versions of the podcast. You can see all that stuff. Just head to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Not even the sea turtles are safe, man.
I like turtles.
They live in the ding dang sea. They live in the ding dang sea, dude.